the entire contents of that mobile home, because they hadn't taken anything out of it before they started to move it. So it's an entire, what was that, Jenny, maybe a 14 or 16 by 80? Because it was a 3-bedroom mobile home. That entire thing is on the ground and scattered over a half of an acre. And then we had another one that the house was an entire loss. The home has been rebuilt. That is minor compared to the mobile home. There's, just, a pile 8 to 10 feet wide and 20 feet long that's left over from cleaning that.
All right. And you'd mentioned, I think you'd mentioned that that would be put in a box, probably right there at the public street in order to have that,
Yes, Miller Joneses will build about one down there by the church building so that everybody can dump to that. I spoke to the owners of the one with the mobile home, and they have plenty of area, and we can put one there that also the rest of the community can access. They're kind of in the center of the neighborhood.
And then she just addressed number 5, the proposed location of containers, mentioning the church parking lot, I assume, and then maybe on a public street there next to something that would need to be cleaned up. And if you turn over to page 9, if you go to number 6, determine who would screen incoming materials before placing those in a roll-off container. That was expressed to me from some of my guys in that department, is you got to have somebody there to screen it, and I would say likely it would be something we would want one of our employees there screening that to make sure nothing gets in there that shouldn't be in there. You're looking for any type of unacceptable waste, hazardous waste, railroad ties, refrigerated appliance, electronics, things of that nature that shouldn't be getting in there. And then number 7, loading materials in the container. Would we provide a backhoe and a loader or an operator to load materials and tamp to make sure we're getting optimized loads? Because if you don't do that, you're probably not going to get much in there. And then number 8, considering I've seen other communities get a written agreement between, let's say, the district and the community association, which address any liability concerns or any things like that are acceptable and not acceptable. So I wanted to kind of bring this to the board, kind of discuss and see what your thoughts are and address any of these things that, these questions that we're looking at here. So some of these things I haven't spelled out internally as far as talking to my guys what exactly we would do there. So this was kind of a preliminary thing. I was going to talk to Dean and Mark, which is the leader, and discuss with them. I think they had some concerns, just making sure how much are we going to haul, how many loads you want to haul out there and such. So I just kind of wanted to see what the board had to say about it and go from there, I guess. So.
Well, a couple issues I have is just, well, I know we've done this before in the past years ago, and it was overloaded and it got a little crazy. But like the fires, I'm sorry for the fires, but they not have insurance, they got paid to have their home removed. So, that's part of carrying insurance, it covers that, which if your home burns, you get paid to have it disposed of. And then about the liability stuff, it's that, if we put that on a church parking lot, we tear the parking lot up, or we're gonna have to pay to have it fixed. Because those boxes are heavy, they roll, we know how they work. Or we're gonna have to be paying to have somebody's parking lot touched up too. So that's some concerns that I have. I agree, I think a one-day deal would be fine to start with, and I think we need to have people there monitoring it, because I know in the past, there was paint thrown in them, all kinds of stuff that if we get caught dumping that at our disposal place, we're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
That was some concerns I remember from the past that we done this before.
Yeah, that's something where I would say that we would probably want to have one of our employees there, but probably even with the backhoe to optimally wash it and tamp it and such. Then the agreement, which I've seen several communities that did this, where they had an agreement between this, let's say this neighborhood association and them, you know, addressing any liability and other things that's spelled out where you get the signatures and such, where you have agreement. That's something I would have probably Brant put together for us, our attorney, and have him draw it up for us, you know, as far as an
Well,
agreement.
is the association financially responsible though?
Yeah, that's my concern. A dumpster, if you rent this dumpster, it's like $600 a drop. Are we gonna pay that, or, I mean, are we donating that?
That would be the, you know, the ideal is that you would be providing the container service at no cost, and then even when you go to dump it, we dump it, it would be no cost on the fee. It'd be a tipping fee waiver there as well. So it would just be the overall, it would be a donating service for that project. So,
I think back, if I remember back, some other times they done this, they had some local companies, like when B&D was in business, they had the small containers, that they were donating those, and we knew they come from there, and the fees were waived at the transfer station.
oh, I see, where they had like, I think we did that, there was something in the past where they had arranged where a company provided the boxes for them, and then when they brought it in to us, we just waived the fee. We have seen that happen as well.
It's a little more control. We gotta be able to control it, cause it can get out of hand, big time, big time.
And, I mean, the trailers are what concern me about as much as anything. I mean, the normal trash, if the property owners were bringing that to us on their own, we could take care of that, but a mobile home, disposal of that is a whole different situation. We wouldn't let somebody drag a mobile home down to the transfer station and dispose of it, so.
You know, I know when we've done our clean sweeps, we're having the municipal vehicles and we know who's bringing it in. I think in this case, it's, you know, putting stuff there where we know it's coming from that community and stuff. But again, this is my thoughts are, I did have some questions and things and liability questions and such that I wanted to kind of get determined before we made another decision, a final decision. I wanted to hear what your concerns were and maybe get those addressed as well, and possibly come back maybe with an agreement, you know, from our attorney, if the board wants to move forward with considering this. And of all these different items, is there one or some of them that you may or may not want to do, you know?
Is my input on it would be from the standpoint of the topics that you've all brought up. I mean, no doubt the community, to a point, this would be a good thing, but
Right.
as Larry stated, I think if we even look at the possibility of doing this, it's gonna be a one-day event where you're gonna have staff that's gonna drop the box off, and they're gonna stay there till they pick it up. Because if you try to leave it over.
Right.
And do anything, you may have 200 or 300 tires down there by the next
Right.
month. Which could be a problem. And then the other thing that I think that we need to look at for our due diligence is the fact that this would be somewhat a good thing for the community. But if this community does it, we need to be prepared if another community comes forward
Right,
and asks for the same benefit,
right.
that's something that we'll be looking at from that standpoint also.
And I agree, it needs cleaned up. I agree with that part, but like Sam said, we have a lot of other communities that have the same issue.
When you get down to the framework of this mobile home, you've got the sides and obviously furnishings and everything. You get those all hauled off, you've got a 15 by 80 big steel frame that,
Trust me, I've seen them
What?
destroy those in a matter of a day and get them to the scrapyard.
that's a disposable item too, but it's a lot of work. You gotta cut it up. Nobody's gonna pick that up and haul it off. You got tires.
I think my thing was if we do, you know, if we were to provide a backhoe there, it would be just at that roll-off container for us tamping and stuff. We wouldn't be actually getting involved with, you know, tearing things apart and stuff, I think.
From a liability standpoint, does your association carry insurance?
We have insurance on our property only. We have a community building and it is fully insured.
But it
But
wouldn't.
as far as for the neighborhood, no.
Rick, you got anything?
I'm good with moving forward on it, but I agree with Sam. I think some of the bugs need to be worked out, and one day, just do it one day. But I think it needs to move forward because I've been through Olytic
Oh, I
and
have too.
they need help.
Anybody wanna make a motion to have Ron proceed with, some kind of an agreement?
I'll make the motion to proceed with the agreement.
I have a motion, do I have a second? No second?
I think would you want me to get something together with an agreement and with additional information, address some of these concerns and come to the next meeting? Would that make you more comfortable as opposed to,
Yes, that's my view. I think, I have no problem with doing it to some degree, but it does have to be a one-day thing. It does have to be pretty limited, as far as, you can't have somebody bring in 2 pickup loads of tires off their place, because those are quite expensive to dispose of, and that's been an ongoing problem with them. But as far as helping just in general, I think that's fine, but I do think you need to clarify a whole lot more points to make a good firm decision personally.
maybe I could come back with some, hey, here's some limits, here's the agreement, here's some limits, maybe you could see the agreement and say, hey, here's what we want to do and not do and stuff.
The other thing, while you're looking over the agreement, I'd also want your our attorney, to review the legality of utilizing our staff off of our premises to pick up trash.
Because I was thinking, like, if people were bringing it to the box, and let's say we have 40-yard boxes, they're pretty tall. So in order to get it, some things you could probably toss up in there, but you're probably gonna need a backhoe sitting there with a bucket, and load it up in there, So to optimize your loads, and then turn that backhoe around with your tamper and tamp that in, compact your loads. Make sure you're getting it compacted. And it's something we could probably also look at other, maybe even private companies that place these boxes at sites, seeing what kind of agreements they have and what they accept and what they don't.
If you got a backhoe sitting down there, could you not use the boxes like you got at recycling? Which is lower to the ground that the backhoe could do?
You could, but they're going to fill up really quick.
It'll fill up pretty fast.
Because you got 20-yard, maybe a 30-yard, but those 40 yards are going to give you your optimum space, and
Well, what I'm saying is just use the recycling ones like you got down there now on the front of the backhoe to dump into the 40s. That way if you get older people, whatever, they can't get it up and
Oh,
over.
yeah.
That's low enough to reach easily.
Yeah, like a smaller, a recycling bin or something, yeah.
Like you've got inside the building down there.
Yeah, the self-dumping hopper, yeah.
With forks.
Yeah, of course, you have to have forks to get underneath that. I don't know if we have any forks for back. I'd have to check with the guys on that to see. So that's more information I can come up with as far as, like you said, a self-dumping hopper, something of that nature, yeah.
So Rick's motion died because of lack of second, so is it?
I'm gonna
I'd make a
rescind it.
motion to review and table this for today's meeting, get some answers to the questions that we have, and bring it back at our next meeting.
And then go ahead and, do you want me to go ahead and draw up agreement as well, just to have it?
I'd have him review the agreement.
Okay.
I'll second that. Unless Sam's got something to say.
I just want to mention in your agreement, I think would be a good idea for the time frame and stuff. If you work on this and send it out so the board can at least see where you're at with it, so that we have more questions at the next meeting, we can be prepared with our questions or any concerns. and go from there.
Lady back there's wanting to say.
Right.
And I do want to work with him as far as gathering a list of what's approved and what isn't to be put into these bins. That will be part of my flyer and promoting the event, so that people are aware beforehand what they're allowed to dispose of.
Right. Which we could, by the time we come to the next meeting, I'll hopefully have more of that information of what we would say would be acceptable or not acceptable, and the board could review that.
Well, Sam's question answered, get it to us a week, at least
Earlier,
a week
yeah.
before the next.
So look at,
That
yeah,
way we can talk
kind of go
about it.
amongst each other, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to proceed with, however Rodney worded that.
Review the agreement.
There you go, review the agreement and bring it at the next meeting and we'll discuss it. Is there any other questions? Not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And I'll also add to that, not to that part, but maybe check with someone that has, I know Grimes has started a new, business with a little 10-yard roll-offs. Maybe that'd be something that they would provide and we could waive the fees even.
Yeah.
And that would be beneficial to us because of the time and the labor and equipment that we're gonna have out there too. Maybe that's another avenue for you guys to go, where maybe it could be for a Saturday, Sunday instead of a 8 to 2 on a Saturday. It's just a thought to throw out there, okay?
Edwina, did we have, wasn't there a company at one point that we waived the fees for them coming in who were doing some kind of project for something?
Mostly that would be the.
Oh, okay, back
Yeah.
then, yeah, that was back, yeah. There was a project, okay. All right.
Okay.
All right, so we'll move on to page 10, item B on our agenda for the Recycling Center Access Control. The 2026 budget appropriations include $65,000 for chain link fence and gates for that facility. And the proposed locations for those fencing and gates would be the west side of the property, which is all your road frontage in front of it, which would cover all the gates as well. And then also, it would also include a section of the northwest corner of the property, which is right there. There's a residential structure bordering our property, then there's an actual separate entrance right there as well. The remainder of the property would not need any fence. The south side of the property, the east side of it, very steep drop-offs. There just would be extremely hard to access it from that point anyway. All right, so on the north side of the property there, between us and that residential structure, there was originally a 25 feet platted and improved roadway. I think it was owned by the city at that time when we first moved on site. So if you can imagine, the north side of that unimproved roadway was the boundary for that adjacent property owner, and the south side was ours, and then you had that 25 feet between us. But the city of Bedford donated that to the county, so it's now Lawrence County's right away there. So that takes us out to that north side of that, what was originally that unimproved alley there. Exhibit A, if you want to turn over to that, that's going to be on your last page, page 12. If you look at that on the north side there, you'll see there's a white dashed line there. And then, again, these are just estimated lines, but I think we're pretty close to where that property boundary is. That white dashed line, it would have been your north side of that unimproved alley there. And then the south side of it would probably lie in about where that yellow line is, which is right there on the other side of the tree line, which is closest to us. So that gives you a general idea where that was laying at. So where do we put the fence at if it's something the board wants to move forward with? Is do you put it on that property line where the white dash line is, or do we consider putting it at the yellow line, which is on the other side of tree line, which I thought would be a better idea, which would catch any litter and stuff from getting into that tree line and such. And I know that the residential owners on the other side, they've already expressed they don't even want a chain link fence there in that area, and it would be going into what they do. They've been maintaining that area for quite some time, that yard area right there. So the board would need to decide where you would want to put that chain link fence if that's what we want to end up doing. So turn over to page 11. I did discuss this with them back when we first looked at this, and some of the things that we discussed were the property owner to the north of us said they would like us to divide that, what was originally that unimproved roadway lengthwise from east to west, which would give them the east section of it and give us, I'm sorry, we give them the west section of it and give us the east section of it. And that would be approximately 218 feet by 25 feet for both sides. The adjacent property owner indicated they did not want a chain link fence between their properties, that it would create an industrial look. However, they were okay with the chain link fence and gates at the secondary entrance. So if you look at page 12, you see that secondary entrance area where I have that double-sided arrow. They want to be able to, they've utilized that in the past. They want to continue to utilize that to be able to turn around and enter and exit their structure there. There's a garage and there's a residence there as well. If we were to move those chain link fence and gates to this side of the tree line, if you look at the yellow line, that would kind of just get it on this side. It would still allow them to maneuver through that area. We're not really using that area right now, not to say we couldn't use it in the future at some point.
What I see you getting into doing that, and I'm not opposed to being good neighbors, but then who maintains the secondary entrance?
Yeah.
My question is, you have to check with your attorney to make sure, since we own the property, they're using it, if there's an accident there or anything, make sure we don't have any liability.
Yeah. And it's actually, it's owned by the county, just to make sure everybody understands. That's owned by Lawrence County and not by the district. So I think this is kind of a decision also that, I think the county's gonna have to end up making that decision as far as, I don't know if it's kind of a joint thing where we make it together. If we could put this fence in, where we're gonna put it on that north side, because the county, owning the property would have to be part of it as well, so.
Is there any usage east of that existing structure that you know of?
It's just a yard back in there. It's open, it's all been mowed and maintained back there.
And does their property extend eastward?
Altogether,
The same distance that our property does?
no, it does not. That's where I was only covering the bordering between us and them, which that total was approximately 436 feet. It goes back way beyond that, and I'm just addressing this up that borders their property, not the entire length of it. So, my plan was to get it surveyed off so I can really get an idea where those property lines are. I know that alley would fall really close, that property line, to that garage. I mean, really pretty close to it. So if I could get that surveyed out, maybe get some pictures of it and show the board what that would look like. And then meet with the landowners again to discuss it, and then come back to the board another meeting before, it's probably gonna take a few different meetings, talking about this, getting quotes, if the board wants to continue to look at it, so.
What's the reasoning for even wanting to build the fence to begin with?
Just to secure the facility right now, we've just basically got cones in two spots. There's no way to secure it at all. We've got cones up. I know Community Corrections has had some issues here breaking into their building.
It's like on a walk in, I guess, yeah, it's chain link fence that wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we take it around that front and bring it, we would take it all the way back to our recycling center, the MRF, the corner of that building, and the rest of it back there is really steep and rugged. It's big limestone blocks. I don't think there's any way to get into
But
it.
it does come up off the old railroad bed.
What's that?
There is access back there over the old railroad bed.
It would be extremely
I
challenging,
know,
yeah.
but there are
Yeah.
homeless people that are occupying that railroad property.
So again, this was just for informational purposes. I just kind of wanted to tell the board what I was looking at, and then if you had any comments about that property line,
Do you currently have cameras that access the community corrections building that show it?
No, they don't really, you won't get a visual of it because it won't read it when something drives that far out, but we are working with our IT provider. I'll be meeting next week with them, and I spoke to Chad Shue about this as well, is getting an outdoor maybe antenna that can boost that signal where we can reach cameras on his building, but also within our recycling center as well. So we are looking at that as an option, and I'll be bringing that to the board at
I
some
know
point.
Community Corrections is looking at putting cameras in their facility.
Yeah, and even on the outside as well. So what you have is the Wi-Fi signal is very challenging to move through those metal buildings. So you almost got to get some kind of antenna on the outside to boost it, to throw it outside. But that also would benefit us in our drive-through. We've been wanting to get cameras in there as well. So hopefully it would benefit both parties. So I am going to be meeting with our IT provider about that, so.
And where you've got a concrete blocked off, when you shut the gates, when you close, nobody can actually drive to the community corrections building. When you're out of service and you shut the gate over your building, they can just walk there.
Right now, yeah, they could
That's all they can
at
do.
that Gates location, but at anywhere in front, you could walk.
Well, they can
Yeah.
walk, but they can't
Yeah.
drive, so all they're gonna, if they broke in, what they can carry off is all they can get. If you had cameras, that'd be a huge deterrent.
Yeah.
I don't know, it seems kind of frivolous spending to me to spend $65,000 to put a fence that really has no great purpose.
And that's just I don't know what it would actually cost. I think we'd have to get quotes in order to make that determination.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think there's better avenues to address that with their cameras and that kind of thing, and the fence is kind of overkill in my view.
And right now, in the middle, where Dean and them come in the middle, we got cones, and then on the far one down there, there's just cones as well. So just addressing something to keep people from being able to get in there, you know.
Any other thing on the fencing? Anybody have a comment on that? What do you think?
I don't-
All right.
Right now.
Okay.
I think you're gonna have to justify it a little better, is what I think.
All right, thank you.
Any questions for Ron? Somebody asked me the other day, and I don't know if it's on the landfill or if it's on there's a car over across the street that's been there for 7 or 8 years. Is that on
By the transfer station?
yeah, somebody said
Across the
the
road?
car's sitting.
There's a storage area there that has,
Oh, okay.
the sheriff's department
Okay.
utilizes.
Yeah, and I know there's cars that go in that, but was there something somewhere else outside that? I don't know.
Yeah, somebody said there was a car been sitting there for like 7 or 8 years.
There is.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Oh,
who
and
it
that's
was.
on that? Okay.
Okay. Commissioners can handle that one. All right, any other questions for Ron? No. Thank you. Controllers report?
Good morning.
Morning.
I passed out the numbers. Has everybody had a chance to look at them? These are, January through March are final numbers. The April is through this past weekend. They are pretty much on pace to where they were last year as far as the numbers go. The bottom part is the tons. I'll have to double check with Dean on the Williams. I know it was down,
Right.
and that he also, I think, doesn't pick it up but every 3 weeks or so. So it may not have been brought in yet to be put on this sheet.
The Williams compactor was closed for
Yes.
a period of time. How long was it closed?
A couple of weeks, I'd say.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that it hasn't been dumped this month yet. It may have stuff on it, but again, he extends it out longer to fill it so that he's able to.
What was the problem?
The storm knocked down a branch on an adjoining property, hit the power line, hit our service there, and we had to get that cleared up and taken care of.
Yeah.
That's still on the old feed mill property.
Yes.
I thought it was.
Yeah. As far as Saturdays go, I've been out there the last 2. the first Saturday after the change was a little slower between the 2:30. There was, I think, 26 people, then it bumped up to 57 the next one, and then 52, 56, something like that. This last Saturday was a little slower, but the weather, I believe, played a part into that one. But it is picking up. People are getting their word out, and we are seeing the traffic flow back in for that. So, that's all I got.
Any other question?
I do appreciate getting that.
Yes, this has been helpful to me just to see
Yeah.
what we're generating and
Yeah,
and stuff like
yeah.
this, so.
Yeah.
And it should help us maybe a little bit better with the budget. Maybe we need to do a little bit more here and more there, so.
Right, and like I've said, if there's something else that you want to see, let me know. We can just add it to this report.
I don't think people realize the numbers that you guys run out there.
I'm sorry, what?
I don't think people realize the numbers that we run through out there.
Oh, no, I mean, like I said, Dean and I talk a lot. He'll come in and, because my staff at Scale House communicates with him, and he'll tell me what's going on, but until you see it laid out like this, it brings a different picture in. So,
All right, thank you.
I think that compactor at the recycling center, don't have the full annual numbers, but you know, you could probably look around 160-some thousand customer counts a year just going through that. I mean, it's very, very busy.
Yeah.
All right, is there any old business? Any new business? Any public comment? I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Nah, hell. Mayors, good to see you.
Get some rest if you can, Sam.
Well, you got us confined here, whatever.
Well, we had that piece of T. Burton Drive.
See, buddy,
He did to us.
you done an excellent job.
City limits.
Yeah.
Yours is gonna be a lot harder than that.
Yeah.
It was inside city limits.
All right, I won't see you today. I'll see you next week.
It was inside city limits.
See you there.
The
Yeah.
state highway,